Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds. I'm Dr. Ramsha Mushtaq Khan, and today I have the opportunity to present on the topic Fats and Carbohydrates under the kind supervision of Professor Dr. Saira Afzal. Quote of the day: A healthy outside starts from inside. Content outline: Overview of fats and carbohydrates, their diverse functions and types, recommended daily intake, sources, and balance. Health challenges caused by the imbalance, excess, or deficiency, recent advances, and multiple choice questions. Learning outcomes. At the end of this presentation, the participants will be able to identify various types of fats and carbohydrates and categorize them based on their functions and contributions to health. Apply recommended dietary guidelines on fats and carbohydrates tailored to different needs and lifestyles. Analyze the health implications associated with the excess or deficiency of fats and carbohydrates in the diet, and recognize the recent global advances in the context of these macronutrients and participate in multiple choice questions at the end. First of all, the overview of fats and carbohydrates. Fats and carbohydrates are two of the three main macronutrients along with proteins. They provide the body with energy and calories as well as serving other essential bodily functions. Both are found in a wide variety of food sources, both healthy and unhealthy. Both fats and carbohydrates are crucial for our health, but balance and equality are. Diet should focus on whole food sources of complex carbohydrates and healthy fats to support the body needs efficiently. Carbohydrates are the body's main source of energy. These are broken down into glucose, which is used by the body's cells, tissues, and organs for immediate energy and helps to fuel brain functions. Carbohydrates are the sugars, starches, and fibers found in fruits, grains, vegetables, and dairy products. Carbohydrates are separated into two categories. Simple, these are sugars like glucose and fructose. They are found naturally in fruits and milk or can be refined sugars added to the fruits. Complex, these include starches and fibers. They are found in whole grains, legumes, and vegetables. The simple carbohydrates are divided into two categories. Number one is single sugars, which is monosaccharides, and number two is the double sugars, which is disaccharides. Monosaccharides are the building blocks of all complex carbohydrates. All carbohydrates are broken down via digestion to provide sustained energy. Functions of carbohydrates, they are the main source of energy. They spare protein from being burned up so it can be used to build and repair. Dietary fiber can help lower blood cholesterol. Part of connective tissues, some hormones and enzymes and genetic material. Carbohydrates also help to digest protein and fat, and they provide fuel for the central nervous system. Monosaccharides, number one is glucose, which is also dextrose. It is the primary energy source for the body. Other sugars are converted into glucose for utilization by the body. It is commonly found in fruits and honey. Fructose is the second one, which is the sweetest natural sugar, predominantly found in fruits and honey. And galactose, which is rarely found independently in nature, combines with glucose to form lactose. The disaccharides include sucrose, which is the cane sugar. It is the combination of glucose and fructose. Maltose does not occur in nature. It is basically glucose and glucose. And lactose is naturally occurring only in the milk. Lactose is found by glucose and galactose. Now, the complex carbohydrates, there are two types of polysaccharides. Number one is the animal and number two is the plant. Two forms of plant polysaccharides exist in nature. Number one is starch, which is the complex carbohydrate included present in the pasta, rice, and breads. And number second is the fiber, which is cellulose, gums, hemicellulose, and pectin. Starch is made up of many glucoses linked together, found only in the plant foods. It is found in grains like wheat, corn, rice, rye, barley, and oats. Thickens liquid when heated, which is called as gelatinization. This is the cycle for carbohydrate metabolism in the body. Then is the fiber. It is edible but not digestible. Fiber moves through the body unchanged. There are two categories. Number one is soluble, which swells in water, and number two is insoluble, which does not swell as much. It is found in dried beans, peas, and lentils, and it is also found in the peeling of fruits and vegetables. Fiber is found in whole grains, endosperm 83%, bran 14%, and germ 3%. High fiber diet. Processing grains that have been milled and refined, removing the bran and the germ, have a higher glycemic index than minimally processed whole grains. Physical form. Finely ground grain is more rapidly digested than coarsely ground grain. That is why eating whole grains in their whole form, like brown rice or oats, can be healthier than eating only processed whole grain bread. Fiber content. High fiber foods don't contain as much digestible carbohydrate, so it slows the rate of digestion and causes a more gradual and lower rise in blood sugar. Ripeness. Ripe fruits and vegetables tend to have a higher glycemic index than unripened fruit. Fat content and acid content. Meals with fat or acid are converted more slowly into sugar. Fiber and disease. Fiber appears to lower the risk of developing various conditions, including heart disease, diabetes, diverticular disease, and constipation. Fiber's beneficial role in the gut microbiome may produce anti inflammatory effects that alleviate the chronic inflammation associated with these conditions. For example, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, breast cancer, colorectal cancer, constipation, and diverticular disease. Some tips for increasing fiber intake. Number one is eating whole fruits instead of drinking fruit juices. Replace white rice, bread, and pasta with minimally processed brown rice and other whole grains like barley, millet, farro, and others. Add high fiber foods to current meals, 1 to 2 tablespoons of almonds, ground flax seeds, chia seeds to cereals, diced vegetables, stir fried dishes, and soups. It is difficult to eat enough fiber through food. Fiber supplements such as silane or methyl cellulose powders or wafers can be used. They can help bulk or soften stool, so it is easier to pass. However, fiber supplements are not intended to completely replace high fiber foods. Dietary recommendations: 130 grams each day for children and adults. Women need at least 38 grams of carbohydrates from a fiber a day. Men need at least 25 grams of carbohydrates from fiber a day. 35 to 65% of our food should come from carbohydrates. If we eat more carbohydrates than are needed for energy, the extra is stored in the liver or in tissues as fat. Consumption of low fiber processed starches stimulates overproduction of insulin, which increases triglycerides and fat synthesis. Carbohydrates produce 4 kilocalories per gram. The glycemic index. Glycemic index is a measure of how quickly a food causes our blood sugar levels to rise. The measure ranks food on a scale of 0 to 100. Foods with high glycemic index are quickly digested and absorbed, causing a rapid rise in blood sugar. Low glycemic index foods slower passage of food into small intestine. Fiber slows digestion rate. Glycemic load is the quantification of overall glycemic effect of a portion of food. These are some foods with low glycemic index, which is less than 55%, medium glycemic index, which is from 56 to 69%, and high glycemic index of more than 70%. Foods with low glycemic index are better than those with high glycemic index. For a balanced diet, proteins should constitute 10 to 15% of total daily energy intake. Fats should constitute 15 to 30% of total energy intake. And carbohydrates rich in fiber should constitute the remaining of the energy. Imbalance of carbohydrates. Diabetes, number one, after food intake, blood glucose rises and it is not regulated because insulin is inadequate. Number two can be hypoglycemia, in which blood glucose drops dramatically, too much insulin activity, and inadequate food intake due to illness. Starvation, number three, inadequate supply of carbohydrates, ketone bodies, fat fragments are an alternate energy source. Excess ketones can lead to ketosis. Number four is lactose intolerance. Intestinal bacteria feed on undigested lactose, produce acids and gas. Lactose molecules attract water, causing floating, abdominal discomfort, and diarrhea. Number second is fats or lipids. Fats are also known as lipids, are dense molecules comprising mainly carbon and hydrogen atoms. They are a crucial energy source, especially when the body is at rest or during low intensity exercise. Fats are also important for the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, which is A, D, E, and K, the production of hormones, and the formation of cell membranes. Uses of fats, they produce energy of about 9 kilocalories per grams, insulation beneath the skin. They support padding for organs, structural integrity of cell membranes. They carry out fat-soluble vitamins, which is A, D, E, and K, precursor of prostaglandin vascular hemostasis, and make food more palatable. This is the simple classification of fats or lipids, which is simple lipids, compound lipids, and derived lipids. The simple lipids include a major class of dietary lipid. In adipose tissue, it is coconut oil, palm oil, cottonseed butter, and margarine. Compound lipids include phospholipids, which is the minor portion of lipids in diet. Lecithin is most common and important part of cell membranes. Number third is the derived lipids, which includes sterols, cholesterol, sex hormones, and vitamin D are the examples. Now, the types of fats. Saturated fats, typically solid at room temperature. These fats are found in animal products and some tropical oils. Excessive consumption can increase the risk of heart disease. Unsaturated fats are usually liquid at room temperature. These are found in plant-based oils, nuts, and fish. They are subdivided into monosaturated and polyunsaturated fats, including essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6, which have cardiovascular and anti-inflammatory benefits. The trans fatty acids are manufactured fats created during a process called hydrogenation, which is aimed at stabilizing polyunsaturated oils to prevent them from becoming rancid and to keep them solid at room temperature. They may be particularly dangerous for heart health and may pose a risk for certain cancers. Hydrogenated fats are used in stick margarine, fast foods, commercial baked foods, donuts, cookies, and crackers, and fried foods. Essential fatty acids, EFA. Essential fatty acids are those that cannot be synthesized in human body and they can only be derived from the food. Two fatty acids are essential. Number one is the omega-3 fatty acid, which is also called alpha-linolenic acid, and omega-6 fatty acid, which is linoleic acid. The deficiency of essential fatty acids leads to phrenoderma, the toad skin, which is characterized by rough rash-like eruptions on the back and sides of arms and legs, the back and the buttocks. It can be cured by giving linseed or safflower oil, which are rich in essential fatty acids. Safflower oil is the richest source of linoleic acid, most important essential fatty acid, and flaxseed oil is the richest source of linolenic acid. The ideal healthy levels of fats include total cholesterol less than 200 micrograms per deciliter, LDL cholesterol less than 100 micrograms per deciliter, HDL cholesterol more than 60 micrograms per deciliter, and triglycerides less than 150 micrograms per deciliter. Raised LDL and lowered HDL effects, they make arteries more rigid, cause major clogs in the arteries, create insulin resistance, contribute to diabetes mellitus, significantly increase the chance of heart disease. Cholesterol HDL ratio should be less than 3.5. Reduction of fat intake to less than 20 to 30% of total energy intake, and consumption of saturated fats less than 10% of total energy intake. The health effects include obesity, phrenoderma, toad skin due to deficiency of essential fatty acids, coronary heart disease, atherosclerosis, when cholesterol LDL is more than 40%, energy supply from saturated fat, and CA colon and breast. Now it's time for the recent updates. The WHO recommendations for a healthy diet include energy intake should be in balance with energy expenditure. To avoid unhealthy weight gain, total fat should not exceed 30% of total energy intake. Intake of saturated fats should be less than 10% of total energy intake, and intake of trans fats less than 1% of total energy intake, with a shift in fat consumption away from saturated fats and trans fats to unsaturated fats and towards the goal of eliminating industrially produced trans fats. Limited intake of free sugars to less than 10% of total energy intake. A further reduction to less than 5% of total energy intake is suggested for additional health benefits. Keeping salt intake to less than 5% per day helps to prevent hypertension and reduces the risk of heart disease and stroke in the adult population. WHO member states have agreed to reduce the global population's intake of salt by 30% by 2025. They have also agreed to halt the rise in diabetes and obesity in adults and adolescents as well as in childhood overweight by 2025. Anti-inflammatory diet. Anti-inflammatory diet is promoted as a remedy to battle inflammation in the body. A common belief is that inflammation is always bad. Although it produces unpleasant side effects, inflammation is actually a healthy response by our immune system. When a foreign invader enters the body, such as bacteria, viruses, or allergens, or any injury occurs, our immune cells act quickly. These are the signs that our immune system is repairing damaged tissue or fighting invaders. As healing takes place, inflammation gradually subsides. Examples of anti-inflammatory foods include fruits, vegetables, high-fiber whole grains, legumes, monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated omega-3 fats, tea, coffee, dark chocolate, herbs, and spices. Examples of inflammatory foods to limit include sweetened beverages like soda, juice drinks, and iced tea, and excess of refined carbohydrate foods, fried foods, processed high-fat meats, saturated fats, excess alcohol, and other factors aside from diet may help to control inflammation, such as exercising regularly, controlling stress, and getting enough sleep. Cardioprotective mechanisms of omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. The dietary consumption of omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids is recommended in international guidelines for general population to prevent the occurrence of cardiovascular disease. Precision nutrition. Nutrition is basically seeks to improve the personalized treatment of diseases and specific to dietary intake. Both develop interventions to prevent or treat chronic diseases based on a person's unique characteristics like DNA, race, gender, health history, and lifestyle habits. Now for the MCQs. Number 1, an athlete comes in OPD to seek the appropriate carbohydrate intake to maintain his energy levels during intense training sessions. What percentage of his total daily calories should be obtained from carbohydrates? A 5 to 25%, B 25 to 45%, C 45 to 65%, D 65 to 85%, and E 85 to 100%.
C.
The answer is C 45 to 65%. A 45-year-old male identified as being at risk for cardiovascular disease is motivated to improve his heart health. Which of the following fatty acids is considered cardioprotective according to various scientific studies? A. Saturated fatty acids, B. Trans fatty acids, C. Omega-3 fatty acids, D. Omega-6 fatty acids, and E. Oleic acid.
C.
The answer is C. Omega-3 fatty acids. A 50-year-old man presented in the OPD sharing his dietary history, which reveals a consistent intake of foods rich in saturated fats. Given his dietary habits, the man is at risk for which of the following conditions? A. Kidney failure, B. Bulimia nervosa, C. Anorexia nervosa, D. Coronary heart disease, and E. Osteomalacia.
D.
Yes, the answer is D. Coronary heart disease. A 38-year-old woman has decided to adopt a healthier lifestyle and align her diet with global health recommendations. According to the WHO, what is the maximum percentage of total daily caloric intake that should come from fats? A, 10 to 20%, B, 20 to 30%, C, 30 to 40%, D, 40 to 50%, and E, 50 to 60%.
A.
The answer is C, 30 to 40%. A man weighing 68 kilograms consumes 325 grams of carbohydrates, 65 grams of protein, and 35 grams of fat in his diet. Which of the following statements is most applicable? A, the diet is well balanced according to general nutritional guidelines. B, the diet is carbohydrate rich and might be suitable for high energy expenditure activities. C, the protein intake is adequate, but the fat intake is below recommended levels. D, the diet is lacking in essential fats and is not well balanced. E, the carbohydrate intake is disproportionately high compared to fat and protein intake.
A.
The answer is E. In a community health workshop focused on heart health, a nutritionist is discussing dietary strategies to reduce the prevalence of coronary heart disease. She emphasizes that not all popular dietary changes are necessarily beneficial for heart health. Which of the following dietary changes is not typically recommended for reducing the prevalence of coronary heart disease? A. Increasing the consumption of saturated fats. B. Eating more fruits and vegetables. C. Limiting the intake of processed foods high in sodium. D. Increasing the consumption of fiber-rich fruits like whole grains. And E. Reducing alcohol consumption.
A.
Yes, the answer is A. Hydrogenation is a process used to convert fatty acids resulting in a specific type of fat commonly found in various popular foods such as fried items, donuts, and margarine. Which type of fatty acid is produced through this process? A. Polyunsaturated fatty acids. B. Monounsaturated fatty acids. C. Trans fatty acids. D. Saturated fatty acids. And E. Omega-3 fatty acids.
Trans fatty acids.
Yes. Anti-inflammatory diets are instrumental in mitigating inflammation within the body, promoting overall health and well-being. Which of the following food items is not typically considered part of an anti-inflammatory diet? A. Monounsaturated fatty acids. B. Polyunsaturated fatty acids. C. Legumes. D. Coffee. And E. Refined carbohydrates.
Monounsaturated.
No, refined carbohydrates. A patient comes to the nutritionist and complains of rough rash-like eruptions that have appeared on various parts of his body, including the back and sides of his arms and legs, the back and the buttocks. The nutritionist advised linseed or safflower oil, explaining that these oils are rich in essential fatty acids. The patient is most likely suffering from A. Phrenoderma, B. Eczema, C. Beriberi, D. Pellagra, and E. Scabies.
A.
Yes, the answer is A. During a consultation, a nutritionist explains a concept where foods are categorized based on the glucose response they trigger within 2 hours of consumption. What is the term used to categorize foods based on the 2-hour blood glucose response curve after consumption? A. Glycemic index, B. Glycemic load, C. Glycemic curve, D. Insulin index, and E. Glucose response rating.
Glycemic index.
Yes, the answer is A. This is the key of the MCQs. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and thank you very much.